Hello again. In this video you will learn about plant cells and tissues. Plant tissue can be divided into two types, which are meristem tissue and permanent tissue. Meristem tissue are unspecialized cell that actively divide by mitosis and responsible for growth of plant. Meanwhile, permanent tissue are specialized cell with specific function, where the tissue has completed its growth. Meristem tissue are located at the apical shoot or tip of shoot, and at the apical root or tip of root. Permanent tissue can be divided into three types, which are dermal tissue, ground tissue, and vascular tissue. All of these three types tissue can be found in the leaf, stem, and root. Dermal tissue is the outer covering of plant. Ground tissue carries out photosynthesis, store photosynthesis products and support the plant. While vascular tissue conducts water and solutes throughout the plant. In your syllabus, you need to focus about ground tissue and vascular tissue. Ground tissue consists of parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma, while vascular tissue consists of xylem and phloem. Parenchyma is a living cells with nucleus, where it stay alive at maturity. Has isodiometric shape. Arrangement of cells are loosely packed, with many intercellular spaces. The cell has large central vacuole. The cell has thin and flexible primary cell, that consists cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. Function of parenchyma are store food in large central vacuole. Able to carry out photosynthesis because it contains chloroplast. For example, mesophyll cell. Allow gaseous exchange to occur due to the presence of many intercellular spaces. The distribution of parenchyma is at the leaf, stem, and root. Collenchyma is a living cell with nucleus, where it's alive at maturity. The cell shape is polygonal shaped, elongated, with tapered ends. The arrangement of cells are closely packed with no, or little intercellular spaces. Collenchyma has primary wall only that consist of cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. Cell walls are unevenly thickened at the corners. Functions of collenchyma are provide support and flexibility to herbaceous and young parts of non-woody plant, and gives mechanical strength and flexibility without restraining the growth. Distribution of collenchyma is at the young parts of plant shoots and petioles. Sclerenchyma is a dead cells with no nucleus at maturity. There are two types of sclerenchyma: fiber and sclereid. Fiber has polygonal shaped, elongated with tapered ends. Meanwhile, sclereid has isodiometric shape. Arrangement of cells are tightly packed and no intercellular spaces. The cell has small lumen with pits present in the cell wall. Has primary and secondary cell wall. The cell walls are evenly thickened, with line-ifid secondary wall. Function of sclerenchyma is to provide mechanical strength, support and rigidity to the plant, and provide protection from mechanical damage. Distribution of sclerenchyma is for sclereid, it is found in the shells of nuts and seed coats. Meanwhile, for fibers, it is found in wood, inner bark and vein of flowering plants. The main differences between the parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma are based on the condition of the tissue when reach maturity. Parenchyma is alive at maturity, collenchyma is also alive at maturity but sclerenchyma is dead at maturity. Second is based on the cell wall. Parenchyma has thin and flexible primary cell wall. Collenchyma has primary cell walls that are unevenly thickened at the corner. Meanwhile, sclerenchyma has primary and line-ifid secondary wall. Third is based on the cell's arrangement. In parenchyma, the cells are loosely packed with many intercellular spaces. In collenchyma, the cells are closely packed with no, or little intercellular spaces, while in sclerenchyma, the cells are tightly packed with no intercellular spaces. Vascular tissue is conducting tissue. Two types of vascular tissues are xylem, a water-conducting cells, and phloem, a sugar-conducting cells. Xylem has two components: vessel elements and trachide. While phloem also has two components: sieve tube and companion cell. In xylem, both vessel element and trachide are dead cells with empty lumen when mature. Both has secondary walls that hardened or thickened with lignin. Both have pits on the side, to allow water moves laterally from cell to cell through pits. The differences between vessel element and trachide are: trachide has long, thin cells with tapered ends. It is longer but narrower than vessel element. The tapered end overlap with one another. Meanwhile, vessel element has elongated cell, wider and shorter, thinner walled, and less tapered than trachide. Trachide has no large perforations in their end walls. Meanwhile, in vessel element, the end walls are open-end, and have large perforation. In phloem, the companion cell and sieve tube have very different structure. For companion cell, it's alive at maturity where it has nucleus. Companion cell is connected to sieve tube by plasmodesmata. Companion cell contains many mitochondria, to provide energy for active transport, to loading and unloading sugar between sieve tube and companion cell. For sieve tube, the cells also alive at maturity but have no nucleus and other organelles. Most organelles degenerate when the cell reach maturity. This feature will allow sieve tube to facilitate smooth flow of soluble food. The end walls of sieve tube are perforated, forming sieve plate with sieve pores. This feature will facilitate the flow of fluid between sieve tube. Function of sieve tube is to transport sucrose or organic compound. Well everyone, that's all about plant tissues.